Campside Media.
Hey, Campside listeners. This is Inside the Tent, our series where we go behind the mic of our latest and greatest podcasts. I'm Shoshi Shmulevitz, a producer at Campside Media, and I'm here with Vanessa Grigoriadis, the host of our newest podcast, So Your Parents Are Old. It's a show about what it's like to care for old parents, sick relatives. It's about decline and death and helping old people use the bathroom and spending half your life doing paperwork. But somehow, Vanessa, you managed to make this show funny and delightful, and you bring so much heart and feeling to it. If you want more exclusive content or behind-the-scenes anecdotes from our shows, make sure to go to joincampside.com to become a free member of the Campside community. That's joincampside.com. So what led you to make So Your Parents Are Old?
Well, my parents are old, decrepit, dying, etc. And it's been a really hard experience for me because I think that I was just shocked by the amount of unpaid labor that had to happen and emotional inputs and just the feeling that this experience of elder care was like taking over my life. And somebody said to me, like, don't even try to talk to anybody about this who isn't going through it. Like, there's really no point. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like you're telling somebody the sky is green and they're like, no, the sky is blue. So I really felt like there was a need for community around the topic, and podcasts are supposed to be great for niche communities. And this is unfortunately a community that is not so niche because everybody is going to enter it at some point. But there aren't a lot of shows out there about how you manage the responsibility of taking care of your parents while also you're managing your other responsibilities.
Yeah, one of the things that has really struck me, like I thank God haven't had to take care of my parents yet, but one of the things that really struck me while listening to the show and kind of seeing how you have, like listening to the interviews, seeing how you make this, kind of working on it with you, is that, oh my God, like everyone's going to be in this situation. You either are going to end up caring for someone or you'll have to, have someone care for you eventually. Mm-hmm. And we're sort of all in this boat, but somehow we don't see it coming. Like it's sort of, I feel like you got blindsided by it. And I feel like I'm going to get blindsided by it, even though we're working on this show.
Yeah, now you should be prepared. Now you should know. No, but there's this, Rosalind Carter, who is Jimmy Carter's wife, has a special, a quote that I will now mangle about, like, there's only four kinds of people in the world. There's people who need care, there's people who are currently caregivers, or people who will be caregivers, and then a fourth one that I don't remember, but maybe it's about and you'll be dead. But it's a universal experience that is just not talked about, and we just don't like old people in this country. We just don't like anything that isn't a 21-year-old, OnlyFans model giving us our news. We don't want to keep all those old photos. What would I do with them? Better to have like 1,000 photos of what just happened in the last 3 weeks. Like, it's just such a culture of youth and present day that I think there's a tendency to think like, oh, this will never end. But of course, it will end and deposit you in the position that I'm in eventually.
Grim.
It's grim. It's really grim. And then you will die. There was this skit on SNL the other night, which I really could not have enjoyed more. I watched it maybe 150 times, called Emo Mom. And it was Amy Poehler being like an emo. She's like, and she comes in and her family's sitting there and they're like, Mom, like, what's wrong? What's happening? She's like, I have 2 kids. I'm taking care of my aging parents. Like, F my life. You work and then you die. And like throws her phone through the window.
Are you an emo mom?
But I'm definitely an emo mom. Like, I can barely conceal my irritation at the world, for sure.
Well, I like to think that this show has provided you with some insights, I don't know.
No, it has. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I do have to say, so we just did an interview with somebody who was like very media trained, very much on her talking points, very hard to like truly connect with. But one thing that she said, and it is true, is taking care of old people will test your patience like nothing else, right? The buttons are there because the parents put them there. So they were installed by the very people who are now pushing your buttons, and you're responsible for, taking care of them. And there's nothing you could do, short of just abandonment. And so in like a very Buddhist sense, it is a test, and the test is like about patience and presence and clear-mindedness and going slow and realizing that like there's nothing to do except for breathe in and breathe out. And I think that is – I think that's very true. I think – you also get really intentional about the people you spend time with because you have so much less time that you're sort of like, okay, what is actually meaningful outside of the family cohort that's handling, death and disease? Like, what else is really meaningful?
Like you're sort of forced to strip out all of the nonsense in your life, and you're just sort of left with the things that are most important to you. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of time that's spent in downtime, but it's really not downtime. Like, just I'm hanging out with my mom. Like, I'm sitting there and trying to do emails. But really, if I'm someplace else in my brain, like thinking about the 700 things I need to do and organizing them, and, then I'm not really there with her. So it's always like a little bit of a dance. That wasn't much of an answer, but
no, yeah, that makes sense. So, I feel like that's a really good piece of advice. Like, that's a good thing, like, that you've learned from this, from, like, doing this show. But is there one piece of, like, practical advice? Like, how do you, like, cut the line when you're on hold on the phone with Medicaid or like
I know. I mean, a lot of people have heard me talk about this recently, but I'm obsessed with the idea of like an AI bot that would be me and just be on hold, like with all these banks and all these places. Like, you tell me when you're there. Like, my robot will talk to your robot when you're ready. But there's so many different things that I would say. I mean, I do think realizing that your parent is going to annoy you and you really have to just figure out a way to rise above that is the most important thing emotionally. Practically, it really is more about organization and spreadsheets and just – I spent, I would say, 2 years pretending like I didn't have to deal with my mom's financial life. I just pretended. I just used the money that I could, and I just pretended like there didn't really have to be a plan. I hate administrative work so much. I'm one of those people who, I can work all day on a script, but if I have to call the bank, it's like the thing I'll put off till the end of the week because I know that it could end up with like, oh, no, the two-factor authentication doesn't work. And now can you call back tomorrow, which is like the weirdest thing that a bank can't make its computer work. And they're like, oh, it's frozen, or I've been locked out of your account. Call back. You're like, what? Like I just get so annoyed with all that kind of busy work.
I do feel like one time I Googled like when is the time with the shortest like hold lines on phones. And like these
so you care also.
And I mean, I also hate administrative work. I wanted to say like who doesn't hate it, but I feel like a lot of people that we've talked to have been like, oh yeah, my sister loves administrative work. It's like, who is this person and can they work for me?
Yeah.
But
it tends to not be the person we're interviewing. It's always about somebody else who's doing all the administration and how much that person loves it. Yeah, it's
always.
Yeah.
Like the people who like administrative work somehow maybe don't like doing interviews.
Yeah. Very true.
But I do feel like there's a time, like a specific day and time of the week that like the hold lines are shorter.
When is that?
I don't know. I feel like I Googled it one time and it was like Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. or like I definitely like first thing in the morning it's shorter.
I believe that.
So,
I believe that there's like little pockets of time you could find if you were, so inclined to sort that out.
Yeah, like not during people's lunch hours, maybe. I don't know. But do you have a favorite interview so far?
I really liked talking to Barry Rothbard, who's very much in the Campside family. He made a Audible show called Searching for Alan Rothbart, which is about his dad, who was a mobster and who got very sick. And Barry, had to take care of him. And he sort of didn't know, like, is this guy just a total asshole or what's the deal? And he actually did something which was so smart, which I regret not doing, which is he gave his dad a tape recorder and said, like, record your life in here. And then he went in and started to investigate if the things that his dad were saying were actually true.
Then he proceeded to not listen to the tapes for like 20 years.
Right, he didn't. Well, it wasn't that long, but yeah, it's pretty hard to listen to those kinds of tapes because it is that thing of like, well, what if they don't work anymore? Or what if when I get to the end, like that's all that is of that person forever? But I really like that interview that we did.
That one's my favorite too.
Yeah.
And we should say also Barry is very funny. He's a comedian.
He is hilarious. And that show is great. The Audible show is great.
Yeah. So based on your experiences, based on everybody else's experiences that you've talked to, what kinds of things are you going to do to prepare for that eventuality deep, deep into the future?
Of course. I mean, it's probably next week, but I don't know. I mean, I definitely don't want my kids to have to clean out all of my stuff. I know some people's parents get really aggro about purging everything when they get old. And then sometimes they're like, you purged all of the stuff? Like everything? Like we had somebody on who's like, found my mom was like, do you want your birth certificate? Otherwise I'm throwing it away. So it's like, you don't want to do that. But I definitely want all that stuff really organized for my kids. I think one thing that is scary for me is like, if I disappear, who would take care of my mom? There are actually, because I have no siblings, would be nobody. I have a cousin who is like legally in charge if something happens to me. But, she lives in Canada. Like, she's not going to move my mom to Canada to take care of my mom. She's already taking care of her mom in Canada. So that's a scary prospect.
That is scary. Well, I do think that one of the great things about this show is that although you do deal with these scary issues, sickness and death and old age and all of the stuff that, happens around it, it's still really funny, really uplifting. And you have kind of built a little community with the show. Do you feel like more understood and connected and like a part of something than you did before you started making the show?
Yeah, I think so. I got actually a nice email from somebody this morning who was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm going through. Like, thank you so much. What a lifeline. And that made me feel so happy. Yeah.
That's really nice. So everyone, go ahead and listen to So Your Parents Are Old. You can find the podcast by typing Parents Are Old into your whatever machine you use to listen to podcasts, and subscribe or follow the show. Thank you so much to Vanessa Grigoriadis and the rest of the So Your Parents Are Old team. And thank you for listening to Inside the Tent. If you haven't already, don't forget to go to joincampside.com to become a free member of the Campside community. That's joincampside.com.